Back here at Fort Sam, Houston, the Stilwell House. And this is where the porch collapsed. It was connected up there. And a big windstorm came along and lifted the columns up. And then gravity took effect. The porch fell, did a backflip, ended up upside down on top of those railings, crashed into these air conditioning units, bent them all up, knocked down the railings that went around there, and this is the result. When you don't have straps tying your porches down, sometimes they blow away. And so right now, I'm working on salvaging all of the framing from the original porch. This is all made out of longleaf pine. It's upside down now, so it's kind of confusing, but this was the built-in gutter right here. And you can see they notched it into here. They notched it into each one of these rafters. And there's some rough carpentry, you know, rigging acts of the day. And there's some square nails. You can see all these square nails. I've already pulled one of the rafters off of here, and I'm slowly working on the next one over here. We're going to try and reuse as much of the original material as possible. And so here's what I'm doing to get these rafters off. Taking a wedge and slowly feeding the wedges into place and separating the rafters from the ceiling. The ceiling was also longleaf pine. It was a beadboard material with kind of a small bead. You can see it's been painted so many times that most of the beading has disappeared. So we're trying to salvage some of that if possible, if we are allowed. So you can see it was all held together with square nails, and then there's some more modern nails that are holding the plywood on. Was on top of the decking, and maybe some screws from the metal roofing that's underneath there as well. Again, everything's upside down, so I'm slowly working my way down the length of it. It's a beautiful day in San Antonio. 72 degrees, nice breeze from the south, chance of rain, so I'd like to get as much done before it starts raining as possible. Guys are kind of come out today, start delivering scaffolding, and this job's really going to start kicking off once we've got our scaffolding in place. You can see how the beam's just lifting up by itself as we drive the wedges into place. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about integral gutters. The Stillwell House has a set of integral gutters. we're lucky enough to have scaffolding that we can get right up here by these gutters and take a good look at them. Gutters have downspouts every so often, and these gutters not only had hail damage, but over time, due to heat and cold, expansion and contraction, all the soldered seams broke. And where you find a broken soldered seam, you find water damage. Because there's the downspout, but the water was standing over here because it's lower than over there. And so what was happening is the water was leaking through that broken seam and then getting down in here to the fascia and the soffit and causing all kind of rot and deterioration. And in some of them, we even see rotting at the posts there where the building is supported by these columns. The beam is actually rotted due to the water leaking from the gutters. Mineral gutters were a cool deal, but they sure cause a lot of problems. You can see up on the upper roof more rotten areas, and I bet there's a seam right there, and that's where it's leaking. Signing off from the top of the Stillwell House, this is Wood with Guy Chipman Construction. Here we're looking at another section of integral gutter. There's a broken seam, and there's the rotten fascia to correspond to it. And then if you look carefully at this roof, you can see all the hail damage that happened from the hailstorm back in April. That's part of the reason that the seams are all broken. You can see ding, 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 all those little dents. And that's not good for the seams either. I'm going to look today at the integral gutter that's built into this house. And our roofers have torn off our metal roof and torn out the metal gutter and exposed the gutter floor here, and you can see that this floor of the gutter is all rotted. This is the area we looked at earlier where there was a seam in the gutter, and that seam caused this rot down here, and I'm pretty sure deterioration of the soffit, as you can see in these areas. The seams were located about every 10 feet because the brake press is 10 feet long, and you can see over there another area where we've got rotten gutter floor. Second floor balcony, looking at the area we looked at last week where we had a little bit of leaking gutter. Gotta watch out for those scaffolds here. Now you can see the area, this is where the seam was in the gutter, and boy, look at that damage that it's done there. It's just completely destroyed that rafter tail. The other ones that around it aren't so bad. The soffit was destroyed. That one's not in good shape, and Jimmy's been working hard cutting new blocks to replace these rafter tails. They're a little bit complicated here. This is what we're working with. These blocks are notched to tie into the framing and match up with the existing. They're a little tough to get into place because they kind of lock in there. They have that matching slope. And we sometimes use a pair of pliers to turn them over. There we go. So that'll go right in there and secure. Looks like Timmy's, oh, there it is. Right at the right length, match up at the angle of the end there. And that'll hold the fascia level. Looks like we might have to adjust that angle on the end just a little bit, Jimmy.
Yeah?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
More?
just, no, it looks like a little too steep.
Okay.
Here we have a real mess. This used to be a rafter tail at one time. Not much left of it. All the water's been running through this gutter for years and years, leaking through the seams. Ate the rafter tails completely. The soffit's not very good. Just left a bunch of debris in here. Got to clean all that out, change the soffit out, so we don't leave all that debris in there to catch moisture and make it rot more. Back up on the Stillwell house. Jimmy's cutting new blocks over there. We're going to put in here to support this overhang. And we're trying to lift the overhang up a little bit because you can see it dropped quite a bit. We're going to put it back into position and screw it into place. And then if you look underneath here, you can see the condition of the soffit is not good. Deterioration is actually getting into the column and the beam right here. We're probably going to have to end up changing the beam right here. See, the beam is all warped and cupped down. The column's crushing into it right there. This house has some issues. Oh my goodness. Crown mold's all right. You see it's kind of wavy. Oh my God. We did not install that crown mold, I promise you. It wouldn't have looked like that. Anyway, signing out from the top of the Stillwell house. This is Wood with Guy Chipman Construction. Top, hit it at the top. Looking good. Now come on down here and tap it in. Right there at the end. Man. Flowing good there. Like it was made to be there. Doing all it could. Damn good, man. It's like, I think we might have graduated from rookie carpenter school. I don't know. Right. Can you roll it in just a little bit? That
well, the bottom's got to come out down there.
Okay. We can always put a screw in it and pull it out with it.
Okay. You want me to roll this in then?
Yeah. I would. Okay, we can pull it back out.
Pushing up over there, right?
Yep.
I've got to pin it from the top and the bottom and adjust it, huh?
Yeah, little shoring. Lift up the weight. I can almost drop the weight on it back down and hold it.
Yeah, go back to work.
Yeah, and what we'll do is just put a screw in here and pull it out with a hammer claw. Okay, so we just cut the hip loose. The hip that had been replaced in the past with treated modern pine. And boy, look how it sagged. This is why we use longleaf pine to replace longleaf pine. I guess is it loose? We got one more nail.
One more nail right here.
All right, we'll have this hip out of here. Can you cut it, Ray? Can you get the saw in there? We got the hip all notched out, going into place. Okay, you think it's gonna fit? It's gonna fit. It's gonna fit.
Always does.
No, we make it fit if it doesn't. It always does. Check this out, man. That's about as tight as you can get. Okay, that's pretty damn good, man. All right. Well, beat it in there.
All right. Give me the beater.
Okay, like Michael Jackson.
No,
Hard hat.
Bitch.
What are we hanging up on?
Hi.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Let's go.
You're done?
Let's go. Yeah.
Is it Friday? Is it almost 5 o'clock? Now what are we missing here? Something looks too high or something. I don't
Listen
know.
to love. Where's
I
the
think
love?
that all the beaches probably came down. Look.
Oh, it's just hung up on that beam there? Yeah, that's what it is. It's the tail of the beam. Ashley, can you tap those beams over? And don't fall through now. This is Wood with Guy Chipman Construction here on the beautiful Stillwell house, finishing up the north porch, framing and gutter install. Got our gutter built. Joshua Taylor's putting the last of the beadboard ceiling back in. This is all we were able to reclaim from the original porch. You can see it unprimed, and we have the new material here. Andrew here's making all our cuts. And look how, yeah, we don't have much waste, just a little short pieces. Considering just a little bit more to go.
46 and 7/8. It's up there. Oh, shit.
They call me by not a name, Lord. Gotta do my time. I gotta do my time. With a naked heart.
We're gonna make it stretch as far as we can.
You can hear my hammer. You can hear my song. Gonna sing it like John Henry all day long. Gotta do my time. I gotta do my time. With making hard on that gal of mine.
How are ya?